Hello to all fans of Naruto Lemon. I will post all Naruto Lemon Yaoi, Yuri, or Naruto Lemon stories only on the Boosty channel because Uncle YouTube condemns this. Therefore, I invite everyone who wants Naruto Lemon content to my Boosty channel. Good luck.
お前はどこまで見えている俺死に様か
Naruto Namikaze is a boy with blonde hair and blue eyes, like his father, who is known throughout the village. He is the son of the heroes, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, who saved the village during the attack of the nine-tailed demon fox. The father of the main character sealed the greatest of the 9 bijou in his own son. Despite the fact that the creation of the Sage of the Six Paths destroyed the entire village and killed many brave shinobi of the Leaf, separating them from their families, the inhabitants realized that Uzumaki was not the demon fox and he was not guilty. They helped him in every possible way. They gave him food, because the money allocated for the orphan, i.e. Naruto, was not enough. Also, in stores and various eateries, they made discounts, and could even give goods to the son of the heroes for free. The current Hokage, who returned from retirement back to his post, gave an important decree, and anyone who dares to violate it will be severely punished. The rest of the children must not know that Naruto is the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. Uzumaki himself knows this, because the third did not consider it necessary to hide information. Naruto, when he entered the academy at the age of 6, began his training. In this, he was assisted by none other than Kakashi Hatake, who was his father's student. The ash-haired elite Jonin, who was recently an elite ANBU but left his post, owned the Sharingan and was famous as a copy ninja of the Leaf, known for his cold-bloodedness and ruthlessness, as well as for copying more than 1,000 techniques. Naruto had trained physically since childhood, and thanks to this and plus Uzumaki's cells, the boy was strong for his age, so Hatake decided to train other shinobi jutsu. To begin with, the easiest, but most important, for a shinobi, shuriken jutsu. He showed how to throw kunai and shuriken. Namikaze, being a genius that he received from his father, threw throwing weapons exactly at the center of the target in 5 minutes. As Hokage-sama said, "You are truly a genius," said Kakashi, "somehow you remind me of my old friend from the service, namely Uchiha Itachi." Naruto, in addition to training, read a lot and was well-read and literate for his young 6-year-old age. He immediately understood what kind of clan the Uchiha were. I see, this is a clan that owns very useful, strong and dangerous eyes that usually dragged the Uchiha into deep darkness, the Sharingan. Yes, you are right, but it seems to me that you are even more brilliant than him and will surpass him. I have also heard about Itachi Uchiha, not only about you, as a copy ninja. Itachi is the genius of the Uchiha clan. Well, okay, what are we going to train next? Let's start right away with a very useful, but currently prohibited technique of the second. It's called the shadow clone technique. It's useful because you accumulate the experience gained from your clones. It can be used for training. If you create 2 clones, the training time will be halved, and 1,000 Chu-to will be reduced by 1,000 times. It was also used for espionage. The downside is that you also receive the accumulated fatigue from your shadow clones. Since you are a Jinchuriki, you will not die from chakra exhaustion, so you can forget about the downsides. It will just be difficult. Are you ready? Of course, Kakashi-sensei. The elite Jonin crossed the fingers of both hands, and a shadow clone appeared near him after a cloud of white smoke dissipated. Hatake explained how to use chakra. Oh yeah, I think Hokage-sama told me that you have chakra, so you can use ninjutsu, right? Just in case, the ash-haired man asked his new and first student. Yes, you're right. It's no longer difficult for me to use illusion copying and reincarnation techniques. I see. And how many smoke clones can you create? At the moment, it won't be difficult for me to create more than 10 of them. Excellent. Well, then try it. Fold the seal for shadow cloning and use chakra, as I told you earlier. Uzumaki had an excellent memory, so he remembered everything, absorbing Kakashi's words like a sponge. Crossing his fingers just like sensei, he concentrated, directed the chakra and began to separate it from himself. As if creating another himself, it's hard to explain in words. The genius immediately had 2 shadow clones. This is amazing. Hatake was surprised by this. Of course, I expected that you would be able to master this technique so quickly, but not right away, especially 2 more shadow clones. It is clear why you are such a famous and cool shinobi. Not only the Sharingan helps you with this, but also shadow cloning. Well, okay, now let's practice elemental techniques. Just in case, I took the chakra conducting leaves. And you prepared well, well done. And now you need to conduct chakra into them. I know. I also know what element I will have if the leaf is cut in half, burns to the ground, shrinks strongly, rots or gets wet. The main character directed his chakra into the leaf, squeezing it between his fingers. The leaf was cut. I see, you have the element of wind. But you can try again, suddenly you have more elements. But remember that not every jonin can boast of mastering 2 elements. And you, it seems, master 4 elements. Yes, but lightning and earth are the most developed. And wind is the weakest element in my arsenal. I see. After these words, Namikaze took out another sheet and again, as before, checked for the presence of another element. It really was. The chakra-conducting sheet burned. Oh, I know fire well. It's surprising that you have a second element. There's practically no point in going any further, but check just in case. Okay, the main character conducted chakra again and the leaf shrank. What? Hatake opened his eye wide. But how? Why you really did? But, you won't have any more elements from now on. Naruto conducted chakra and everything happened as before. I see. Kakashi, calm down, you have 3 elements, like your father. You will know lightning best, because I am excellent at it. I will teach you fire too, but partially wind, and then I will send you to my friend, who is excellent at wind. As you say. Naruto began sending one of his shadow clones to the academy, and he and the others trained under the guidance of Asuma and Kakashi. At the Shinobi Academy, the main character excelled greatly and easily took first place in this educational institution. In second place was Sasuke Uchiha, who was Itachi Uchiha's brother. Shino Aburame took third place. As the main character noted, Shikamaru Nara could have become him, but he hid his potential, he was just lazy. The Nara clan was famous not only for their shadow capture techniques, in which opponents will copy your movements, but also for their first-class analytical abilities, therefore, they had a huge intellect. Representatives of the Nara clan are also known for being very lazy, dreamy, and also for loving to play a board game called shogi, where you need to plan your actions and implement the plan into reality. It's like a war. Naruto was often put with Sasuke. He loved to challenge the blonde because he wanted to reach the first place, because he is an Uchiha, and representatives of this clan have always been famous for their genius, excellent memory, ability to master everything on the go and, most importantly, Sharingan. The youngest son of the Fugaku and Mikoto Uchiha family always lost to the main characters. So days, weeks, months, years passed. The main character is currently 13 years old, like all his classmates, except for Sasuke, who is a year older than all of them, i.e., he was already 14 years old. Everyone was preparing for the exam, called the Genin exam, and this is a very important step for each ninja, because then the academy student will already become a full-fledged shinobi at the initial stage of the shinobi hierarchy. After them come Chunin, Jonin, Elite Jonin, Umbu Hokage, Elite Umbu Hokage, Umbu of the Root, Elite Umbu of the Root, Elders of the Village and the Hokage himself. This is the village hierarchy, and as for the whole country, the most influential and important will be the country's yondaime. By the way, before continuing, I would like to say something that many people always get confused about. Improved and expanded genomes are completely different things. For example, lava, mokuton, steam, etc. are improved genomes that require 2 elements. But atomic fission is an expanded genome that requires 3 elements like wind, earth, and fire, but I could be wrong, maybe other elements. The main thing is that I dispelled myths and misunderstandings. The Genin exam consisted of 3 stages. 1. Shuriken Jutsu, 10 kunai, then Shuriken. 2. Sparring, taijutsu, jinjutsu, shuriken jutsu, etc., which are used in combat. 3. Illusionary cloning technique and reincarnation technique. Stage 1. Shurikensino, Sakura, Kiba, Shikamaru, so as not to attract attention, and many others threw in the intervals between 5/7/10, Shino threw 8 out of 10, Sasuke got 9 out of 10, having poorly spun the last shuriken. Naruto easily spun all the shurikens and got 10 out of 10, the highest score. Stage 1. Kunai Mini threw and earned more points, getting between June 8, 10, Shino got 9 out of 10, Sasuke and Naruto 10 out of 10. Everyone went on to the next stage. Stage 2. Fight Sakura fought against her friend and at the same time rival Ino. Naruto was the most popular guy in the academy, and everyone fought for him. Yamanaka trapped Haruno and with the help of her clan technique transferred her consciousness into the body of her rival and gave up, thanks to which the blonde won. The next fight was Kiba Inuzuka against Shino Aburame. The dog owner dominated the opponent well, as he thought. He spent a lot of chakra, but it turned out that he attacked the clone, and the original had long ago sent bugs to the enemy, which is why Inuzuka gave up. There were many interesting fights, but not as interesting as what will happen next. Naruto, Sasuke, Shino, and Hinata Hyuga reached the finals. They easily defeated their opponents. First there was the fight between Hyuga and Aburame, where, during an interesting fight, the owner of a huge number of different breeds of beetles defeated his future teammate. Iruka understood that Naruto was much stronger than the children in the academy. He knew that Namikaze would defeat all his opponents without difficulty, so for the sake of interest he put 2 students at once against him, who were in the top 3, who reached the finals, Shino and Sasuke against Naruto. Uchiha created 2 smoke clones, and he himself hid behind a nearby tree. This cheap maneuver will not work on me, Sasuke, and the main character threw shurikens, spinning them so that they would hit the one who owned the tree. Dark-Eyed quickly reacted and dodged, while Shino created a clone of beetles, who ran to Uzumaki. Gigi easily defeated him, but the bugs immediately jumped on him. "Surrender, Naruto," said the representative of the Aburame clan. "It is you who should surrender," answered with irony the Uzumaki standing nearby, replacing himself with a shadow clone. Fire element, fireball, the Uchiha folded the seals and blew out the fire technique. Lightning element, the blonde man responded with hand seals, lightning beam, and dispelled the brunette's technique. "Okay, stop playing, better turn around." He dispelled the Jinjutsu, which he had caught 2 opponents in at the beginning of the fight. In reality, a couple of seconds passed, and they still gave up when they were paralyzed. Shino calmly accepted the defeat, but Sasuke looked at the blue-eyed man with a very hateful and despised look. Over the past time of his growing up, Indra's reincarnation has changed a lot due to the incident with his clan, where Uchiha Itachi, his older brother, slaughtered the entire Uchiha clan, leaving only his younger brother alive. This happened when the youngest son Fugaku was 9 years old. Before moving on to the last, 3rd stage for the title of Genin, I would like to tell you about the training of the son of the 4th Hokage. Before elemental techniques, he first learned higher chakra control, quickly learning to walk on trees, then water, and then even learned to fold seals with one hand, which not every shinobi can do. After that, the main character began to learn elemental control in order to learn elemental techniques better and more effectively. The shadow clones and the original himself took a leaf from the trees and, conducting the elemental chakra, tried to first cut the leaf in half, wind. Then burn it, fire, and then squeeze it, lightning. When the blonde learned this, his friend Kakashi, whose name is Yamato, helped him in the next stages. First, he created a waterfall and, owning Mokutan, like the first Hokage, created a support on which the clones and the original stood. They had to cut the water in half, which was more difficult. Yamato also held back the 9-tailed demon fox, because it could break free during training, especially if the Jinchuriki was exhausted and weakened. After mastering the wind element, there was the next stage, where Uzumaki had to burn a tall tree of 50 m or more, which Yamato created, because such tall trees were hard to find. And he succeeded. The last one was lightning. The main character had to first compress the tree, and then, directing lightning into a large stone, destroy it from the inside. After that, he finally began to learn elemental techniques, most of which he learned from Asuma Sarutobi in mastering the wind element, and the rest of the elements he learned from Kakashi. Well, I think I explained a couple of points from training, the most important ones, so we can move on to the exam for the title of Genin. Stage 3. Smoke cloning and reincarnation. The last stage was accepted by two sensei, Mizuki and Irika. Everyone was able to pass. After the exam, Naruto noticed Sensei Mizuki with some guy. He was from the class of Mr. Uzumaki, hiding his presence, mostly chakra, overheard the conversation. It turns out that the blue-haired boy needed to steal a secret scroll with forbidden leaf techniques, and the teacher decided to take advantage of the most naive boy from the academy. He will probably give this scroll to other villages and get a huge reward. The blue-eyed boy understood, so Mizuki betrayed our village and came up with some kind of plan. In the evening, when it was already dark and there were few people on the streets of the village, the naive boy went to steal the scroll. It turns out that Mizuki deceived him, telling him about some exam where he would need to take the scroll, and then the boy would become a jonin and would be a hero and an example for others. Not everyone would have been caught, but many children are naive. This boy was caught by Irika-sensei, who almost at the cost of his life saved him from the blue-haired teacher, who threw a large shuriken at the boy. When he wanted to finish them off by throwing a lot of shurikens, normal ones, he was there in time. The blonde man blocked the thrown weapon. "Is that you, Naruto?" He looked at his soon-to-be graduated student, Yumino. "Yes, Irika-sensei, don't worry, I will save you," the main character said confidently. "What could a brat like you do to me?" The traitor of Konoha showed his psychotic inner side. Uzumaki didn't answer and, using multiple shadow cloning, beat up the enemy, and then other shinobi arrived along with the Hokage, arresting Mizuki. The Hokage proclaimed Naruto and Irika as heroes of Konoha, and the frightened guy, who lost consciousness, was taken to the hospital. There was nothing serious with him. Everyone had to come to the academy the next day after passing the exam to split into teams. Before that, everyone had to take a photo in the Hokage's office, like a new ninja. Uzumaki was the last one, and when he took a photo and was about to leave, some little kid burst into the residence with shurikens in his hands, shouting something like, "Okay, old man, I'm going to beat you and become the next Hokage." Before reaching the third, the little one fell. "You tripped me." The boy recovered after the fall. "What, no?" The main character answered in confusion. "Listen, how dare you trip me?" This impudent boy came close to the main character. After that, Uzumaki got up from his chair, grabbing this by the collar. "Do you want to be prescribed so that you calm down? How dare you talk to me like that and threaten me?" The boy answered, "I am the grandson of the third Hokage." This should affect him, like it did with others. The boy smiled slyly. "I don't care who your parents, grandfather, or even your grandmother are," the main character answered and kicked the little one in the stomach, which sent him flying. He was surprised by this. Then the guy in glasses arrived. "Excuse me, Naruto-sama, Konohamaru-sama, let's live in peace." He got scared. "Don't bother me, Ebisu, take this away instead." Uzumaki turned to him. "Yes, sir," and began to take the grandson of the third away, and when they left the residence, he ran away, deciding to look through the peephole to see what would happen next at the Hokage. "You must forgive my grandson, Konohamaru." Hiruzen scratched the back of his head. "So his name is Konohamaru. Okay, I'm going, but as a parting gift to you, naughty boy, I'll give you a gift." The blonde smiled and used the strongest ninjutsu in the world after Naruto therapy. He used sexy jutsu, from which the old man flew out with a fountain of blood in his nose. When Namikaze left the office, he was met by that same Konohamaru. "Oh, you again." Naruto grabbed his head. "Well, forgive me for that." And now I want to ask you to take me as a student. I also want to defeat Grandpa with this cool technique. The boy confidently shouted. Well, I don't know, the future Genin thought, but still agreed, well, okay, but remember, this is only because your grandpa is a normal guy and I owe him a lot. Good. The grandson of the third happily nodded. They came to the training ground and the MC began to teach his first student a perverted jutsu. After 30 minutes, Ebisu came. Keikonohamaru-san, so that's where you are, we have to go, the bespectacled boy said fearfully. Enough already, the Hokage's grandson looked at him angrily. Konohamaru, now I'll give you the same, only improved perverted technique, it's SS. Right, the academy. The blue-eyed one remembered. And what, you're leaving? Sarutobi Jr. lowered his head sadly. What? No, I'll send a clone there, and I'll stay with you. Hooray! And this, Brother Naruto, please teach me the shadow cloning technique. Well, this is a forbidden technique and many died after using it for a long time, although, the main character realized, you are from the Sarutobi clan, the grandson of Sarutobi Hiruzen and the great-grandson of the great Sasuke Sarutobi. You definitely have plenty of chakra, and I will pour it into you when needed. After that, when the clone began to leave for the academy, Namikaze began to talk about the pros and cons of this forbidden technique of the second Hokage, and Konohamaru listened attentively. And this is a very useful technique, it's clear why you are so cool. Konohamaru was delighted, Grandpa told me about you, and I decided to be like you. I see. Well, let's train already. Academy at the academy, Iruka gave his heartfelt speech, that he would miss him, that all his students had grown up, and then named the teams and their members, including the senseis. Oh, Kakashi-sensei then, well, then we'll have to wait about 3 to 4 hours, the clone guessed and therefore evaporated, so as not to waste extra energy. Looking at the time, about 3 hours had already passed, so he returned to the academy. Only his teammates remained in the classroom, namely Sasuke and Sakura, and then Kakashi-sensei entered, calling everyone to the roof. There they met, where Sakura mumbled something about love and a dream, looking at Naruto. Sasuke decided to tell about his revenge and the goal of killing one person. Naruto wanted to become the strongest Hokage, like his father, and stop unnecessary wars in the world. But the sensei didn't say anything so necessary and understandable. Tomorrow we come at 6 o'clock in the morning, your final stage will take place there. And yes, don't have breakfast tomorrow, otherwise you'll throw up, the sensei finished his speech. Wait, said Haruno, but why was the Genin exam necessary, and why at such an early hour? Firstly, the Genin exam, like mine, is important, and secondly, it's early, because, and disappeared into the leaves swirling around. Without saying anything, the Uzumaki clone evaporated. Sasuke was the first to arrive at the 72nd training ground, followed by Sakura. Their stomachs were growling loudly, because they had followed Kakashi's orders not to have breakfast. Uzumaki himself woke up as always at 7 a.m., training regimen. He was in no hurry to meet with the team, because firstly, Kakashi would be late for a long time and secondly, the main character had adopted the habit of unpunctuality from his sensei. Having gotten up, Naruto took a bath, brushed his teeth, and then went to have breakfast. A few minutes later, when the necessary procedures were completed, Namikaze left for training, but before that he decided to go to the Hokage's residence at the request of the third. Entering the office, he saw Hiruzen sitting in his Hokage chair and smoking a pipe, and Hatake was standing next to him. "Hello, Grandpa Hokage, why did you call me?" asked the main characters. "Oh, hello, Naruto, come in," the old man answered. "Hello, Naruto," the ash-haired man waved his hand. "And to you too, Kakashi-sensei," the blonde-haired man answered. "So, Grandpa, your father, Minato, and your mother, Kushina, have come to me," the village leader interested the boy. "They asked me to pass on their techniques to you after you pass the Genin exam," and he held out 2 large wrapped scrolls. "Thank you, Grandpa," Uzumaki took the scrolls. "Your father's techniques are there, the most important ones are the Rasengan and the God of Thunder, and your mother's most important techniques are barriers and seals. These are your Uzumaki clan techniques. Got it, thank you again. And now, Kakashi-sensei, let's go to the team meeting. Okay, goodbye, Hokage-sama. Bye, Grandpa. And they both left. Since they both dropped by Ichiraka Ramen for half an hour, they arrived exactly at 10 a.m. After Sakura screams, Kakashi explained the rules of the exam. They must take away 2 bells, and those who take the bells will pass on, will be a full member of Team 7. But why are there 2 of them? Sakura was perplexed. Because one of you who does not pass on will have to return to the academy again for 1 year. Hatake set the timer, and as soon as he started it, everyone immediately hid. Haruno hid right next to Naruto, and he went to look for Sasuke, because he came up with a plan. You're so smart, you came up with a plan on the fly, the pink-haired girl said. Without answering, Namikaze began to tell his plan, having hidden his and their chakra before that, so that Hatake could not notice where the 3 were. It took 10 minutes to explain the plan. They set up traps. After that, Uzumaki and Uchiha jumped out of the tree branches while the green-eyed girl activated the traps. Fire element, fireball, Uchiha blew out the ball. Wind release, vacuum ball, Uchiha Namikaze's technique was enhanced with wind. Hatake dodged, but then Haruno activated a trap and kunai with shurikens flew at the Jonin, hitting him. He used the replacement technique, and he stood behind Naruto and knocked him out. It turned out to be a clone of lightning, which exploded at a great distance, and Sasuke did the replacement technique. The elite Jonin was almost hit by the explosion, if he had not used the air wall. Look around, the blonde said. The gray-haired looked down, noticing that explosive seals were attached to his body, which ignited and exploded. The Jonin replaced himself with a mud clone. He threw shurikens at Naruto, who did not have time to dodge, and the thrown weapon hit his leg. And Naruto, sorry, I did not think that you would not dodge. The former ANBU of the leaf was scared. Uchiha appeared behind him, using a fireball. When the fire dissipated, Hatake was no longer there. He fell into Sasuke's earthen trap. A good genjutsu to distract my attention, Naruto, he smiled in front of the standing, completely healthy blonde. Suddenly, instead of Uchiha, there was a log with explosive seals and another explosion. Kakashi jumped back, and more kunai with explosive seals, which Haruno threw, flew at him in the air. And another explosion. The Jonin again replaced himself with a log. And you, too, like me, know me well, my techniques. Hatake frowned, because it would be more difficult for him and he would have to strain himself. Sasuke threw shurikens, which Hatake dodged, and then kunai from a trap that Sakura activated flew at the man. Sensei dodged again, gotcha. Namikaze made hand seals and blew out a cutting wind. Hatake responded with a fiery whirlpool, defending himself from his student's technique. Uchiha and Uzumaki went into taijutsu with Sensei. Their attacks were excellent, good teamwork, interesting combinations of blows. The guys almost managed to take the bell, touching it, but the teacher quickly jumped back, parrying the girl's throwing weapon. Lightning element, lightning dragon, the blonde made hand seals. The technique was directed at Sensei. Dodging did not help him, because the dragon was moving on his heels. Cutting fire, the ash-haired man answered, cutting the lightning element technique. Fireball, Uchiha attacked when Sensei landed. He managed to form hand seals and defend himself with an earthen wall. Multiple shadow clone technique, Namikaze crossed his fingers and created 50 shadow clones. They attacked the Jonin. Kakashi fought them off first in taijutsu, and then, jumping back, blew out a huge fireball and destroyed the remaining clones. When the gray-haired man landed, the world around him suddenly became cloudy, his vision began to darken and needles were stuck into him, especially in his legs and arms. It was Uzumaki who caught the teacher in genjutsu again, trying to take the bell. He did so, kicking the Jonin, who freed himself from the illusion and used a substitute. Opening his palm, instead of bells, tree leaves flew away. Isn't this what you're looking for? The sensei rang the bells. Wind element, breakthrough, the blue-eyed man blew out a quick wind technique. Sensei dodged, and the trees that were in the way of the technique collapsed. Okay, Kakashi-sensei, it's time for me to show you my new powerful technique. A new technique? Well, let's see. The man got into a fighting stance. Naruto threw a strange three-petal kunai at him, but the ash-haired one didn't notice, and that's all. What kind of technique is that? The former ANBU captain didn't understand. Teleportation, the genin whispered, making one seal, after which he teleported to the kunai, cut the ropes on which the bells were hanging and took them, and he himself pushed off with his feet from the sensei, who replaced himself with a log. I won. And Naruto, but you received the scroll recently, especially since you couldn't learn this technique because you didn't have time because of our exam. Kakashi opened his eyes in surprise. Just don't tell me that you learned it on the go. No, I don't believe it. Relax, he thought it was an illusion, but nothing happened. The brunette and the cherry blossom were also shocked by such speed. Besides, Naruto defeated an elite jonin. Yes, I learned it in 20 minutes, while explaining the plan to Sasuke and Sakura, sending a clone to train. It's hard to believe. Even though you are a genius, I didn't know that you were such a brilliant shinobi that you could learn the second Hokage's technique, improved by the fourth, in just 20 minutes. And yes, no one will be expelled, am I right? Yes, you passed. But why? Sakura didn't understand. Because the essence of the exam is to test the teamwork of genin, IES, the blue-eyed man guessed. Tomorrow you will be given your first mission, and this is how your shinobi career will begin. I am sure that you will become excellent ninja. The sensei smiled with his eye. No one knew how he smiled like that. Sakura and Sasuke came again at the time appointed by sensei, and the main character and the teacher himself were late as usual, for which Sakura yelled again, but naturally at Kakashi, and not at Naruto. He is her crush. So Sasuke and Sakura carried out easy D-rank missions, catch a cat, a dog, help carry bags, etc. Uzumaki and Hatake were relaxing, reading books, although Naruto and Kakashi were not really relaxing, because their clones were working hard. Finally, Uchiha and Haruno couldn't hold back and politely asked their village leader for a higher-ranking mission, for example, C rank, in which they could already fight. At first, the old man began to explain that even the easiest D-rank missions support the village's economy, but the dark-haired and pink-haired man still didn't back down, which is why the old man gave in and gave them a mission to protect the carpenter. Tazuna-san, come in, Hiruzen said, after which a tipsy old man entered the office with a bottle of sake. And these brats will protect me, the man was dissatisfied. Why not us? Or a higher-ranking mission? The blonde man began to suspect the old man. And no, the carpenter, who had immediately sobered up, looked away, sweat appearing on his forehead, which he wiped with a handkerchief. This girl just looks too weak. And pointed his finger at Haruno's rage, but she still held back. After explaining the mission, everyone went to pack their things, since the task would last about 1 to 2 days. They met an hour later at the gates of Konoha, and set off. They had to walk for about 2 to 3 hours, and then get on a boat and swim 10 minutes across the lake to get to the carpenter's home country. Halfway there, they came across a puddle. No one noticed it, except Naruto, Kakashi and Sasuke, who realized that there had been no rain for a week and the weather was hot, so there was no way a puddle could have appeared here. 2 demon brothers immediately appeared from the puddle and killed everyone. After the murder, they suddenly woke up, tied up. But how are you? They were surprised. We just killed you. I caught you in Genjutsu, the blonde answered. Afterwards they were interrogated. We can easily abandon this mission, because it could even be A rank, Hatake said. No, let's continue, Sasuke said. Naruto was silent. It was immediately clear from Sakura's silence that she was uneasy with fear, because at any moment they could meet death. Okay, let's move on, said the sensei, and the team, together with Tazuna, set off on their way. They almost reached the boat on which they would have to cross the lake, but then Naruto suddenly dragged his teammates down, and Kakashi shouted, "Get down," and dragged the carpenter down with him. A second later, a huge sword flew over them and pierced a tree. A pompously tall and muscular man with a bandaged face jumped onto the blade. "So you're the swordsman of the Bloody Mist, I think," the blue-eyed man recognized the S-rank criminal. "Oh, so even a brat like you knows me," the swordsman answered. "Oh, and you are a copy ninja of the leaf," he looked at the ash-haired man. Zabuza Momochi, a professional in hidden, fast and silent killings. Then there was a story about a brutal exam in the past Bloody Mist, where Momochi, not even being a ninja, killed all his comrades and everyone in his path. Then he became an ANBU of the new mist, where the bloody exam was cancelled, and then a swordsman of the mist. Momochi ordered to hand over the carpenter and he would not touch either Kakashi or the children. Naturally, everyone refused and began to protect the carpenter. Zabuza quickly appeared behind the carpenter, but Kakashi-sensei entered the battle with him, where they made feints with the help of water clones, and then the swordsman caught the elite jonin of the leaf in a water trap. "Run, guys!" shouted the sensei of the 7th team. "I will not abandon you, sensei," answered Uzumaki. "Me too," answered Uchiha, remembering his brother at the moment when he slaughtered the clan. "Well, I won't back down either." The pink-haired girl took out a kunai and stood up to protect Tazuna. "That's interesting," Momochi said, creating a water clone. Sasuke ran into taijutsu at the clone, but he hit the Uchiha with a sword, and then began to deliver a series of powerful blows to all parts and limbs of the body. When he wanted to hit Sasuke in the nose, the blonde appeared and kicked him in the body, from which the clone naturally defended himself. Pushing off the enemy, he threw a shuriken, folding seals and creating 50 shadow copies. The swordsman parried them. Namikaze took advantage of the fact that the master of silent killing, having parried the shurikens, could not have time to hit the main character. Naruto ran into taijutsu, creating shadow clones, one of which took the sword. In close combat, either Zabuza or Naruto had the advantage, thanks to the shadow clones. They had equal attacks and blocks. The clone hit the main character in the jaw, who used the substitution technique, and Momochi himself jumped back, dodging the clone's kunai. He dispelled the clone who had a sword and destroyed the rest of the blonde's copies with his blade. "Come on, Sasuke," Naruto said, using a vacuum ball. The Uchiha, standing up and quickly folding hand seals, blew out a fireball. The techniques connected and a huge ball was approaching the opponent. The water clone used a water wall, protecting himself from the fire. The battlefield was covered in steam and a kunai flew out of the blind spot at the enemy. The clone dodged, but the throwing weapon itself was aimed at the original. He easily dodged, tilting his head to the side, but suddenly the main character teleported behind the kunai and, having folded the seals, put a seal that restrained chakra on the enemy, and then twisted the opponent and kicked. He grouped himself and landed on the water. "What?" He was surprised. "Okay, a strong seal technique, but how did you manage to learn the technique of the 4th Hokage?" "Because he is his son," answered the question the freed Hitaki. "I see. And you can also stand on water." The three of them stood on the water surface. "Now he is weak and can easily lose, because he will not be able to use ninjutsu." "Fire element, fiery whirlpool," the blonde made seals. The fiery flame surrounded the swordsman and trapped him. He managed to get out of there, but not without burns. When Naruto made seals and was about to use a lot of chakra to finish off the enemy, 2 needles hit Momochi's neck and he fell. "Thank you for the help, I've been trying to kill him for a long time," said the man with the mask of the ANBU of the mist who appeared. Hitaki checked the pulse, which was not there, and then handed the body to the ANBU. "He's not an ANBU, said the main character when they both disappeared. "Yes, you're right," answered Hitaki, "but we were already at the end and we couldn't handle one more enemy." "That's for sure. As you know, I have sensor abilities. He has a lot of dense and strong chakra." They all went to rest at the carpenter's house. They met his daughter, and then the whiny and screaming grandson of Inari. Kakashi, sitting with the boy at night near a small bridge, dangling his legs, told that Naruto was an orphan from birth, but despite all this he did not give up, dangling his arms, etc. After that, Inari and Naruto more or less became closer, especially after Naruto saved him and his mother. Then the team went to the bridge, except for Uzumaki, who understood that the bandits would decide to take Tezuna's family hostage. Then Namikaze, having defeated and tied up, went to the bridge. There was fog everywhere and a battle was in full swing. "I'll deal with Sabuza, and you go help Sasuke," the Jonin gave the order. Now, but before that, he teleported behind the swordsman and knocked him out. Before that, he said, "So you put a mark for teleportation back then?" And fell unconscious. "Now we can all help Sasuke," said the blonde, and they went to help, while Haruno protected the carpenter, standing next to him. He was finishing the bridge that would save his home country from starvation. Naruto met a guy named Haku during training in the forest. He recognized his chakra, but said nothing, and it was exactly that supposed umbu. Here he felt this chakra again. The only remaining representative of the Yuki clan created ice mirrors and threw needles at the Uchiha, who awakened his one-volume Sharingan. Having folded the seals, Uzumaki and Hitaki created in their hands the lightning element technique of rank A+, namely Raikiri, and destroyed the ice technique. Wind element, Flow, folded the seals and used the technique against the opponent, who managed to protect himself with an ice wall. Technique of strong cutting wind, used the GG, and the huge radius of destruction was caused by the wind technique. But did not touch the carpenter, his workers, and teammates. The Anbu mask broke, and the guy himself fell. "I will not kill you," said Namikaze. After these words, Zabuza's protege fell asleep. After the battle, Gato himself, one of the richest and most influential people in the world, came. Naturally, he was not alone, there were several hundred armed bandits around him. He began to kick the unconscious body of the Yuki clan member, mostly on the head. Even such a calm and cold-blooded person as Naruto became furious. Using the technique of multiple shadow clones and creating more than 100 clones, he beat many, but the main target was Gato, who immediately hid behind his people. Uzumaki still caught the cowardly rich man. At this time, Inari arrived with the assembled people, who decided to fight back against Gato. The bandits ran away in fear and swam away. Namikaze, thanking them, gave Gato to the people for fun. They tied him up in hard shackles and began to laugh at him, throw tomatoes, etc. Because it would be difficult for people to earn a lot of money right away, he learned from Gato's memories about the location of his lair and the code to the save in Genjutsu. There he collected several 100 million ryo and gave it to the people, also taking part from there and dividing it among the team. The completed bridge was named after Naruto. Finally, the team returned to the village. No one found out that they had completed an S-rank mission, receiving pennies for the task, but during the mission they had taken part of Gato's money, and there was a lot of it. Before the children went to rest, Kakashi warned everyone about the Chunin exam. Although they were young, they were very strong. Naruto and Sasuke immediately agreed to participate in the Chunin exam. Sakura had some doubts, but seeing that her comrades quickly agreed, she also followed their example. The exam will start tomorrow. The first stage will be at the academy. Everyone left. Namikaze decided to walk around the village, look at the ninja from other villages who came to take the exam in the leaf. Haruno followed him. Uzumaki saw a tall guy with a painted face who was pestering Konohamaru, and next to him was a blonde who was trying to calm the boy down. Sarutobi was not a weakling thanks to Uzumaki and created 3 shadow clones, attacking his opponent, but he easily dispelled them and grabbed the collar, raising the grandson of the third to his level. "Hey you, what's going on here?" Naruto approached. "What business is it of yours? Get lost." The guy answered in a rough voice. It was clear from his forehead protector that he was from a village hidden in the sand. "Enough, Kankuro." The girl pulled her teammate by the shoulders. "We don't need problems, especially in someone else's village." Kankuro pushed Sarutobi Jr. away and took a fighting stance against Namikaze. No one noticed anything and didn't have time to see how Naruto stood behind the guy and twisted him. What speed? The blonde was surprised. Oh yeah, I've noticed you for a long time, red-haired one, come out. He looked towards the nearest tree. And you're not weak, as you can see from your speed and sensor abilities. The guy with red hair came out. Kankuro, Temari, are we leaving? Uzumaki let go of the bully from the sand. Before leaving, I would like to know your name. The cold owner of red hair turned around. My name is Namikaze Naruto, and what's yours? Uzumaki answered. I see, so you are the son of the fourth Hokage, the boy said. My name is Gaara, and what a coincidence, I am the son of the fourth Kazekage. Naruto sensed the Bija chakra and with the help of a powerful genjutsu penetrated Gaara's subconscious. So that's what, we have another coincidence. I am also a Jinchuriki, Naruto said, behind whom the nine-tailed stood behind the cage. So that means that the genjutsu is also at an excellent level, Sobokuno said, behind whom the one-tailed stood in the cage. It's been a long time since we saw each other, Shikaku, the fox grinned. Yeah, Kurama. The one-tailed always showed a rough and adult voice, but here he showed his true, childish and screaming voice. So that's your name, the blonde grinned. By the way, I see that you have the seals for the Bija set incorrectly, the blue-eyed man noted. I see that you are from the Uzumaki clan, Shikaku began. If you have mastered seal techniques, then please set the correct seal, because not only my Jinchuriki, but I too are suffering. Well, then I need your chakra and Kurama's, otherwise it won't work and mine won't be enough. Shikaku immediately gave a lot of his chakra, and Kurama did not agree at first, but he was still persuaded. Having made more than 500 seals, because the technique was very complex, Naruto was able to remake the seal for the Biju. This is how the conversation between them in the subconscious helped Naruto get closer to Kurama, and Gaara with Shikaku. Thank you. The red-haired man removed his cold and serious look. Nothing, I'm glad to help. In reality, everyone looked at the two Jinchuriki with confusion, as they looked at each other, after which Gaara said, You are my first and only friend, Naruto. Which shocked his team. During the Jinchuriki subconscious, Shikaku told about the Sand's plan to capture Konoha. He himself now no longer decided to go down this path, since he made friends for the first time and showed warmth. They left, and Haruno and Konohamaru looked at their comrade with confusion. He didn't tell them anything about it. Is everything alright, Konohamaru? Yes, thank you, brother Naruto. Smiled the grandson of the third. A day later, the team came to the Shinobi Academy. The necessary office was on the third floor, but for some reason the necessary class number was on the second, where a lot of people were crowded. The Chunin did not let them through, saying that they would never become Chunin. Naruto, realizing that the village was being invaded, decided to leave more people just in case, so he dispelled the genjutsu, and went into the office himself. There was an introduction to Kabuto, a meeting of old friends of the teams. They were younger than the others, since they decided to start the Chunin exam early. There was also a squabble between the Sound Shinobi. Finally, the examiner of the first stage appeared, handed out a piece of paper to everyone, explained that people would be immediately expelled for cheating. He asked 9 written questions, and the 10th would be asked at the end as an oral one. Namikaze immediately understood the essence of the exam and wrote slowly, realizing that the main thing here is not knowledge, but the ability to collect information and the 10th question. Uchiha also understood later. Many were expelled for cheating, there are those who were not caught. Finally, the 10th question was announced. It scared many people, because if you do not answer it, you will forever remain a genin. Naruto, in order to leave more people, said, For a ninja, the main thing is not ranks, but strength, intelligence and other qualities. Even if I do not answer the question and forever remain a genin, this will not prevent me from becoming the strongest Hokage in the history of shinobi. This speech raised everyone's morale, and those who were about to get up and leave decided to stay. You passed, said the examiner, explaining that a shinobi should not be scared by various difficulties, he should always be brave and never give up. The window broke and a girl flew into the office. hanging her kunai. You left a lot of children, Ibuki. Oh well, more than half of me will leave right away. The woman smiled slyly and frighteningly and licked her lips. I am the examiner of the second stage, everyone follow me. Those who passed the first stage gathered at the Forest of Death. Many were frightened when signing the papers, it was written that the examiners are not responsible for the health and life of those taking the exam. Some left, deciding to take the exam later, others decided to go further. One of them was, naturally, Team 7. All teams were given either a scroll of heaven or earth, indicating the rules where they need to get 2 scrolls and get to the right destination. Team 7 immediately took the scroll from the team they came across, knocking out their opponents, and immediately headed to the right place to take the exam. After an hour of travel, everyone was hungry. Naruto decided to catch fish, Sasuke went for branches, and Sakura guarded the scrolls of earth and heaven. They had indicated their code before that. When Namikaze went a long enough distance, he was swallowed by a huge snake. He easily got out, creating many clones, and then, feeling the danger, did not catch fish and ran to the team. Sasuke and Sakura were attacked by a snake woman, who first reincarnated as the main character, but Sasuke immediately realized that this was not his comrade. When they were well battered, the blonde arrived in time. This chakra. They are strong and feel natural, so you are a Sannin, a snake one, I think, Naruto guessed, Orochimaru. Guys, run, otherwise you will be killed, do not worry about me. Oh, what a smart and good censor, and brave, the Sannin in the girl's body smiled. Sasuke stood in place and shook with fear, and Sakura did not want to abandon the team. Fire element, the main character folded hand seals, flame destruction, and blew out a fire technique of defeat over a huge area. Everything at a great distance burned, including the trees, so now the battlefield became more spacious. The snake Sannin defended himself by calling a snake, which took the blow on itself, and then attacked Sasuke. Uchiha stood, paralyzed with fear. Uzumaki used a wind needle, which, piercing the snake, forced it to come back to its world. Fire element, triple great fire dragon. Blew a powerful and fast technique at the enemy, but Orochimaru, having folded seals, defended himself with a mud wall. Lightning element, lightning dragon, directed the dragon at Orochimaru, breaking through the wall of mud. The technique reached the enemy and exploded, but he replaced himself with a clone made of mud, and the blonde was already behind him, piercing his leg with a kunai. Uzumaki also used a replacement, replacing himself with a clone of lightning, which exploded. And you're not bad, Namikaze Naruto, the snake licked his lips, but excuse me, my goal is Sasuke, so when I'm done with you, no one will stop me from catching your comrade, hee. Great fire rain, he jumped and used Uzumaki's technique, creating 50 large fireballs that flew at the snake. Even such a technique, and you really are an interesting guy, if not for Sasuke, I would have taken your body. The Sannin used a wave of water that extinguished the fire. Namikaze jumped on the enemy in taijutsu. They exchanged fast, precise, and short blows and blocked each other's attacks. The snake kicked the guy in the stomach, who replaced himself with a log, attaching explosive tags to the snake, which exploded. He replaced himself with a mud clone, it's about time. And, creating a raikiri in his hand, he teleported to the enemy, putting the mark of the thunder god on him during taijutsu. Uzumaki pierced the student of the third Hokage, and he fell without strength. I didn't know that I would need to use this against children, said the snake, getting out of the body. Oh yeah, you're a snake Sannin, you shed your skin, Naruto realized. Earth element, shackles, he folded the seals and hit the ground with his hands, raising the mud, which, having reached the protagonist's feet, quickly dried, turning into hard stone. Discharge explosion, he used the lightning technique of the protagonists. Lightning appeared around him, which exploded and freed Uzumaki. The snake dodged. He quickly appeared behind the blue-eyed man. Chidori Nagashi used an improved Chidori technique and threw back the mud clone. You are strong. The Sannin smiled. Naruto was already almost at his limit. Fire element, great flame dog, and a large amount of flame appeared from his hand, which transformed into a dog. The Sannin dodged, but this technique was like a living thing, pursuing the enemy. At this time, having folded hand seals and bitten his finger, the blonde called on the ninja dogs. When the Sannin dispelled the fire, the dogs bit him on the arms and legs, immobilizing the student of the third Hokage. And Naruto created a Raikiri in his hand and pierced the enemy's chest again. Instead, there was a water clone. Because of the water, Uzumaki and the dogs received an electric charge and flew away. The summoned animals dispersed. Naruto used Genjutsu, paralyzing the enemy, and he himself fired vacuum bullets that hit Orochimaru. His skin began to peel off from the attack, where the real face of the enemy appeared. "So you learned this forbidden technique," said the blue-eyed man before falling down without strength from chakra exhaustion. "Now you, Sasuke-kun," the snake licked his lips. Sakura screamed that Naruto was not a coward, but Sasuke was the opposite. Uchiha also remembered his older brother. "How can I kill my brother if I do not dare to attack him?" The representative of the Cut clan gathered himself, activating the Sharingan that had evolved into a 2-volume. The fight was according to canon, where Jiraiya's friend bit, leaving a cursed mark on Sasuke and disappeared. Sakura carried them to a shelter, where she tried to provide first aid. Soon the sound team attacked. Sakura was helped by Rock Lee and the Ino Shikacho team. Everything is as in the original. Uchiha woke up, using the cursed mark and almost killing the three. After the fight, the blonde also woke up. Having rested, the team reached the destination, opening the scrolls, where their sensei appeared, reporting the passing of the second stage of Team 7. When those who passed came to the huge hall where the third stage of one-on-one fights would take place, they first listened to the speech of their current Hokage of the village, and then the names of the opponents began to appear on the scoreboard. Many fights are canon. Naruto was put against Neji. Fights are calculated for almost equal forces. If he had been put against Kiba, he would have easily lost. The referee allowed the fight. Naruto threw a throwing weapon, which Hyuga easily parried by turning on the Byakugan. Then the blonde immediately appeared opposite him and began close combat. They fought equally. Each delivered good and fast blows and blocked them. After 10 minutes of fighting in taijutsu, Uzumaki jumped back, throwing shurikens again, which Neji again parried. Having folded the seals, the blonde quickly blew out a ball of fire. Hyuga surprised many of his clan by using the highest branch technique, namely rotation, defending himself from the elemental technique, shadow clone technique. The blue-eyed man crossed his fingers and created 8 shadow copies. They first threw throwing weapons at the enemy, and then ran into taijutsu. Hyuga defeated the strong clones in 5 minutes, and ran to the original, hitting his chakra circulation point. Instead of the original, there was a clone made of lightning, which exploded. Hyuga flew back, but managed to regroup. "Not bad," the owner of the Byakugan smiled. Wind release, cutting wind, the blonde used a strong air technique. It missed the opponent, who defended himself with a spin. Naruto threw a shuriken, folded hand seals, and created 100 shadow copies of shuriken. "Oh, even the 3 RD's technique," Hyuga said, before dodging the throwing weapon or defending himself from some spins that could not be dodged. Wind release, air dragon, he blew the technique at the enemy. Naturally, he was protected by the spin, but then the main character immediately appeared, who wanted to hit Neji in the nose, but the long-haired man predicted the attack with his eyes and blocked it, trying to deliver a pinpoint blow to the enemy's chakra point, but he, having reflected the attack, pushed off with his legs and regrouped, landing on 15 from Hyuga. He crossed his fingers, and then 50 clones appeared, again the same old tricks. A member of the lower branch of the clan ran at the copies, destroying the clones. For some reason, this lasted a long time, more than 10 minutes. At first it seemed that these were just a lot of clones, but then Neji began to notice that something was wrong here. Having held on like this for another 5 minutes, Hyuga dispelled the Genjutsu. Uzumaki applied a kunai to the enemy. "Well done," praised Neji. "It was interesting," answered Uzumaki. Then there was the fight between Hinata and Kiba, where Hyuga after 5 minutes of fighting could not attack her teammate and simply gave up. The last fight after Lee and Gaara's fight, Sobokuno did not cause serious injuries to the thick-browed one, since thanks to Naruto he became mentally healthy and began to sleep, was a duel between Naruto and Kiba, the last remaining genin. When the referee gave his consent for the fight, Naruto simply caught the dog owner and his dog Akamaru in Genjutsu. They fell asleep from this, and gave the victory to Naruto. The last fights, the final between the winners, will take place in 1 week. After the exam, Naruto told Sarutobi alone about the Kazekage's plan to attack the leaf. Uzumaki guessed that it was not the Kazekage, that he was dead and someone else had taken his place. When the last fights were over, he told Hiruzen to be more careful with the Kazekage. Hiruzen naturally listened to him and the two of them came up with a good plan to prevent unnecessary wars and unnecessary conflicts. Besides, other villages would certainly take advantage of Konoha's weakness and attack, uniting. During the training before the final battles of the exam, Naruto managed to get acquainted with his father's teacher, namely the legendary Sannin and pervert Jiraiya. They met in such a way that the gray-haired one, as usual, was collecting material for a book, peeping at the girls. Uzumaki saw this and loudly exclaimed that he should not pee, the old pervert. The girls relaxing at the hot springs heard this and immediately ran away with squeals. "What have you done?" The gray-haired one cried out, "I was collecting material for a book and because of you I will write it later," and showed the book Come Come Paradise. Oh, so Kakashi-sensei reads this book. He remembered the cover of his teacher's favorite book. Oh, so you know Kakashi and this book. Kakashi is my sensei. And he constantly reads this book during a free minute, although, in short, around the clock. Well, since you are the legendary Sannin and my dad's teacher, then become my sensei too. What, your father? And what is your last name? Namikaze, answered Uzumaki. Oh, Namikaze. And you look like your father. But I will not teach you yet, it is too early. I was given a scroll of my father and mother's techniques. I learned many, but I can't do the Rasengan. What, do you know the god of thunder? Yes, I learned it on the fly. I would have learned the Rasengan too, but many of the notes there have been erased and the text is unclear. Well, no, I will not teach you. You scared away all the girls. What should I do? Do you need a girl? Well, you could have just said so, and, having folded the seal, Naruto transformed into a beautiful lady. Some time later, Jiraiya teaches Naruto. Before the Rasengan, he decided to teach the summoning technique. He was glad that Naruto already had experience, since he summoned ninja dogs. First, the Sannin gave a scroll, summoning a toad with it. In the scroll, the summoner must sign a contract with the animals with his blood in order to summon them later. Having done all this and folded the seals, biting his finger, Namikaze managed to immediately summon an old toad, but an unusual one. Oh, what, some kid summoned me. The toad was surprised. Then she saw Jiraiya. Hey, Jiraiya-chan, is it him or did you summon me? It's him. The shocked Sannin pointed his finger at the blonde. You look like a pathetic old toad, but you have enough chakra, apparently, senjutsu, said Namikaze. I don't know whether to be happy or angry, but apparently you are not only strong and brilliant, since you summoned me, but you are also a good censor. And on what try did you manage to do it? On the first try. The Sannin was still in shock. What, on the first try? The toad was also surprised. Okay, that's enough. Better tell me your name. My name is Fukasaku, Fukasaku introduced himself. Fukasaku-sama, when can I learn the hermit mode? The blonde got straight to the point. Well, you know, I'll take you to training right now. Because thanks to Senjutsu chakra I'm also wonderful, even better than you, censor, and I feel your strong and dense chakra. I also felt some other one. This is the chakra of the Nine Tails. I'm not very close with him and not completely, he's quite stubborn, I didn't become friends, but I know his name, it's Kurama. I see, and you're really great. You look like a child from the prophecy, Naruto. What are you talking about? Although, Kurama told me about the prophecy of Rikudo-sanin, so if you're talking about him, then thank you, although it is unknown whether I will destroy this world or not. But I'm not going to do that. I feel light and warm chakra in you, so it's hard to believe that you will destroy the world. I think you will save it, but it depends on you. Okay, I promise to help Naruto learn the Rasengan after the summoning technique, interrupted the Sannin. Maybe on Mount Mayaboku, it will be better there? And yes, he is Minato's son. Oh, so that's why I felt familiar chakra. They appeared in a beautiful place where there were waterfalls with crystal clear water, full of vegetation, very beautiful, and there were also statues. These are, as Fukasaku later said, people who took too much senjutsu chakra and turned into toad statues. Naruto met all the toads, including the main one, the toad sage, who, according to him, was the teacher of the sage of the six paths in his beautiful youth. After all this, Naruto created 500 shadow clones, used Kurama's chakra. 5 of them went to study the senjutsu mode, first listening to the theory and then moving on to practice. The remaining 495 were training the Rasengan. In about an hour, he was already getting the Rasengan. Naruto quickly passed the first 2 stages and almost learned the third. By this time, the clones had already learned how to maintain balance and not fall on a sharp rock, sitting on the very end of a board, and had already gone to train to accumulate nature chakra, also training with oil. After another 30 minutes, the main character fully mastered the Rasengan, an A-rank technique, which surprised the Toad and the Toad Hermit. Now the original was resting, accumulating chakra, while his 5 shadow clones were learning the Sannin mode. A week passed. All the winners of the previous fights, except Sasuke, gathered in another room, where there will be many spectators. The Hokage and Kazekage, who was in alliance with the Leaf and decided to attend the exam, will also be present. Many fights in the canon. Temari and Shino went against Naruto. Hiruzen understood that the son of the fourth was not weak and even 2 opponents would not have it so easy. Shino released the bugs. Naruto jumped away from them and immediately Temari used a cutting wind with her fan. Instead of the main character, a log appeared. The real one stood on a tree branch and folded seals. He waited for the blonde to use the wind technique again, and then blew out a fireball that slightly burned the enemies, who barely dodged, but still received damage. Suddenly Naruto felt weak. It turned out that Aburame had already put bugs on the main character's legs, which out the chakra in the bare part of the leg. They completely covered Namake's. Surrender, it will be worse for you, Shino said confidently and coolly. He did not hear anything in response, and therefore the bugs out most of the chakra. The judge approached the emaciated body of the blue-eyed man, checking his pulse. The shadow clone of the blonde disappeared, and the original himself threw shurikens at the opponents. Sobokuno defended herself with a wind technique. Suddenly Shino's legs got stuck from out of nowhere sand, which did not allow his legs to escape. A tree appeared behind the blonde, which tied her up. Naruto decided to knock out a more serious opponent, and it was Shino. Minato's son put a seal on his forehead that out chakra. Suddenly, instead of Shino, Naruto caught a clone of beetles in Genjutsu. The beetles rushed and covered the entire body of the Uzumaki, sucking out chakra. Instead, there was a clone of lightning, which exploded, destroying the insects and throwing Temari, who, thanks to this pain, was able to get out of the illusion. Fire element, cutting flame, the blonde used the technique, which both dodged in a jump, fire element, incineration of fire, and burned 2 opponents in the air. Still, no, the fire did not hit them, since Shino and Temari pushed off each other with their feet, thanks to which the technique did not affect them. Beetle Swarm Technique, the Aburame clan representative unleashed a huge swarm of beetles on the enemy. Naruto burned them with a fiery whirlpool, and he himself used a barrier in which he became invisible. It turned out that the beetles could sense chakra, so they attacked Naruto, but he, expecting this, replaced himself with a lightning clone, which exploded again. Fire element, Phoenix Petals, the main character attacked again. Wind element, great whirlwind flow. Temari used a lot of chakra to dispel the fire, because the fire element is stronger than the wind. Fire element, fireball. Immediately after that the blue-eyed man blew out a fireball. The blonde came under fire. Everything was fine with her, she just passed out. The medics carried her away and only the Lord of the Bugs and Naruto remained. The element of lightning, the dragon of lightning. Naruto folded the seals and wanted to use the technique, as bugs began to crawl towards him from his feet. Because of this Naruto, in order to defend himself, used Chidori Nagashi, after that throwing shurikens at Aburame. He replaced himself with a log, and he himself stood aside 20 m from the main character. Aburame was already breathing heavily because he used many strong techniques, one of which was a swarm of bugs. This technique, I hope, will defeat you, it is the strongest in my arsenal, said Aburame and folded hand seals, the great burial of bugs. Namikaze was attacked by a lot of bugs, several times more than a swarm of bugs. Fireball and other techniques of this level did not help him, destroying a few insects. Then he decided to show his new and strong technique of rank A, which was created by the fourth, namely, Rasengan. Having struck the ground under him, he created a large-scale explosion, destroying all the bugs and throwing Shino far away with a shock wave, who lost consciousness. The new sensei, the one who was constantly coughing, who was present at the first battles of the third, was killed by a subordinate from the sand, somehow dodged, receiving a scratch on his cheek. Finally, the dust, which rose very high from such a force, dispersed, showing the defeated Shino. Sensei, having checked Aburame's pulse, said, "He's fine. The winner is Naruto Namikaze." And all the spectators joyfully applauded our young Jinchuriki. Aburame was carried away on a stretcher to rest, as was Temari. In the next fight, Sasuke appeared pompously on time, standing back to back with Kakashi. The Uchiha will fight Gaara. Sobokuno was not a psycho, and fought the enemy quite well. The fight is almost canon. At the end, when Sasuke beat the enemy, copying the taijutsu techniques from Rock Lee, and when the red-haired one was covered with a shield of sand from this, the red-eyed one used a new lightning technique, Chidori. He ran at great speed towards his opponent and broke the shield, from which Sobokuno flew out. Sasuke wanted to finish him off, hitting him in the shoulder with a lightning technique, but Namikaze stopped him in time, taking him by the wrist. Gaara gave up. Finally, the final, where Naruto will fight Sasuke and Gaara, as Hiruzen decided. No one contradicted him, understanding the genius, intelligence, and strength of the young Jinchuriki. Naruto fought first in taijutsu. He showed speed higher than Rock Lee without weights and Sasuke combined. First, he struck Sasuke with a series of punches to the stomach and face, from which he flew away, and then he began to run at great speed around the Jinchuriki Shikaku, catching a good moment and also beating him with strong, precise, and fast series of attacks with his hands and feet. Sasuke activated the Sharingan, and Gaara took more sand from the barrel behind his back, attacking and defending himself with a large amount of sand. Sand burial technique. The red-haired man folded hand seals, using a powerful technique aimed at a large area of damage. Lightning element, Chidori Nagashi, defended himself from the advancing sand of Namikaze, counterattacking. Fire element, fire dragon. Fire element, large fireball, defended himself with an equal in strength technique of the Uchiha. Fire element, phoenix petals. Fire element, fire bullets, he began to shoot flame bullets at the enemies, having scattered the phoenix petals before. The red-haired man protected both of them with sand, attacking with sand bullets. They hit the blonde, who turned out to be a shadow clone, and the original stood behind and beat the opponents in taijutsu again. Gotcha. Having waited for the moment when the blue-eyed man would come close to the tree, the red-eyed man tied him up with a fishing line and used a fire dragon. Naruto teleported behind his teammate. He managed to put the Thunder God's marks on Gaara and Sasuke, and twisted him, and the shadow clone teleported behind Gaara, also twisting him. Sobokuno protected himself and the Uchiha with a sand shield, dispersing the clone and forcing the original to jump back. Lightning element, Chidori. folded seals and created the technique of Kakashi Uchiha, and then ran to Uzumaki. Fire element, fireball, blew out the fire technique of Uzumaki, but the Chidori easily dispelled the flame. This will not help, and Sasuke pierced Naruto's technique without touching vital organs. The blonde turned into some kind of slime, so during the fireball you hit me in Genjutsu, guessed Uchiha, folded a seal in order to dispel the illusion. Naruto knocked him out. You are left. Gaara looked towards the same as him, Jinchuriki Naruto, wind element, air trap, and suddenly Gaara's body became heavy, and now, fire element, stream of flame, and blew out the fire technique, which improved thanks to the wind. Gaara flew out of the flames, having taken damage, but still the sand covered him, but turned into glass, explosion. Naruto shouted. They had used a fire trap before, a compressed great fireball into a small, invisible sphere, which was behind him and exploded after activation. Sobokuno flew back again, only this time to Namikaze. He hit the enemy in the stomach and twisted him. Now the sand could no longer help because of turning into glass. Shikaku's Jinchuriki surrendered. Victory was given to Naruto. After that, the Kazekage suddenly pressed a kunai to Hiruzen, showing his face, and it was Orochimaru. Konoha was attacked by Sand Ninja. Old Sarutobi, expecting such an outcome, replaced himself with a mud clone, and Naruto, teleporting to the previously placed mark of the God of Thunder on Orochimaru, pierced him with a Chidori in the shoulder. The snake Sannin shed his skin. As always, you amaze me with your resourcefulness, Naruto. The snake licked. So you already know each other, the old man said. Fire spirit, fire dogs, and he created a flame in his hand, which transformed into 6 dogs of fire. They attacked the snake. Then the 4 of sound wanted to activate the fire barrier, but the blonde's shadow clones prevented them, fighting with the snake hermit's charges. Mass shadow cloning technique. Naruto crossed his fingers and created 400 copies of himself, which pounced on the enemy. Oh, there are so many of them, interesting. Oric smiled. He took out his blade and began to destroy the doubles. Lightning element, thunder discharge. Naruto attacked, not waiting for Oric to destroy his clones. The snake flew away, having time to replace itself with a clone of dirt. Earth element, shackles, the old man folded the seals and shackled his former dear student. Come on, Naruto. Raikiri, the blonde created Kakashi's technique in his hand and pierced the enemy again, only, having again reached the chest, but he returned, allowing his shoulder to be pierced, and he himself, having shed his skin again, freed himself, Rasengan. Teleported again behind Orochimaru and hit him on the back with his new destructive technique created by the 4th. It turned out to be a snake clone, and the original folded the seals and summoned 2 coffins. The 3rd managed to stop Hiruzen. The resurrected 1st and 2nd Hokage of the Leaf, the founders of Konoha, emerged from the coffins. Hey, Grandpa, are these the founders of our village? The first leaders? Uzumaki guessed. Yes, Naruto, it's them, Sarutobi answered. The Hokage's ANBU came to the rescue. Naruto and some of the ANBU decided to take on the Hokage, and Hiruzen and the other Hokage, along with Naruto's fire clone, decided to take on Orochimaru. Fight with the Hokage. Naruto created 5 shadow clones that went into taijutsu, holding back the 2nd, and Naruto and the ANBU decided to fight the stronger one, the 1st Hokage. Fire release, great volcanic eruption. Naruto folded his seals. Then came the techniques of many ANBU. Water release, great waterfall of freedom. Lightning release, charge. Earth release, mud trap of death. Fire release, great fire rain. Wind release, vacuum dragon. Mokuton, the technique of the great impenetrable forest. Hashirama folded the seals, using his secret and one of the strongest techniques of the improved genome, wood, reflecting all the techniques of the Umbu and Naruto. Giant Rasengan. freed both himself and the Umbu, the son of the fourth, the element of fire, a trap, and the fire began to spread from the legs throughout the body of Senju, and then, explosion. The blue-eyed man clenched his fist and blew up the resurrected opponent. It turned out to be a wooden clone, and the real one jumped back, standing next to his brother Tobirama, who dispelled the Namake's doubles. During this time, Naruto put marks on both of them, and he himself told the Umbu to use their most powerful techniques, which they did. Uzumaki himself created a shadow clone, which created two huge Razengans in both hands. The original folded many seals and teleported all the techniques to the Hokage and a large-scale explosion. Both lay and restored their lost limbs. No one allowed them to do this, and, having tied up the Hokage, Naruto, and the Anbu began to seal the founders of the leaf. Hashirama tore himself apart with his Mokuton, freeing his brother. There are still worthy shinobi left in the world. Tobirama looked towards Naruto, who was kneeling and breathing heavily. The main character was able to use such a powerful technique, teleporting the strongest Anbu techniques and two huge Razengans. At this time, the Hokage's hands were restored. "Oh, well, you, Hashirama-sama, are the god of shinobi. It is clear that you can fold seals even with one hand," Naruto said, "and yes, thank you for the compliment. I am glad to hear such words from the cold-blooded second Hokage." "Oh, and this is your technique, only improved, God of Thunder." Uzumaki entered the Jinchuriki's cloak. Two tails appeared behind him. He created a scarlet Rasengan in his hand and teleported behind Hashirama, but the dark-haired man replaced himself with a wood clone. He quickly ran into taijutsu against the first Hokage, creating a clone with one tail and sending it to the second. The Anbu helped with techniques, throwing weapons, genjutsu. Each delivered a series of powerful blows, but the first still dominated due to greater strength and experience. He again used the impenetrable forest bloom, cutting down 3 Anbu. Suddenly, the Hokage began to be covered in seals. "I can't hold him like this for long, come on!" shouted Minato's son. The Hokage's personal subordinates quickly reacted and, having tied up the first, managed to seal his body. The situation was similar with the second. The fight between Hiruzen and Orochimaru. The third Hokage called on the gorilla, which transformed into a staff. The Hokage's student, the snake Sannin, fought in Kenjutsu. The Anbu helped. Due to the number of opponents, it was not easy for the snake, especially since Naruto made him shed his skin several times. It is clear that such a very complex and at the same time useful technique will require a lot of chakra. He summoned snakes, used ninjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu, shurikenjutsu, genjutsu, but this did not help him, and yet they began to slowly beat him, dominate. After a 20-minute battle, it became known about the victory over the resurrected Hokage. So the snake decided to retreat, replacing himself with a snake clone. Gaara and his team, along with the Konoha shinobi, were able to stop the people from the sand. Some events occurred, during which Konoha and the sand still decided to make peace after the sand realized that Orochimaru used them, and the Kazekage had long been killed. The Sound Four also managed to escape. Then the Akatsuki members, Itachi and Kisame, arrived in Kuroha. Everything was as in canon, even with Naruto, who, although he understood the peculiarity of Kisame's sword, was unable to dodge in time and gave a lot of his chakra. Itachi caught his younger brother in Tsukuyomi. Then he and his partner disappeared. For a long time, Sasuke and Kakashi did not wake up. It was clear that it was Uchiha Itachi's genjutsu. Hiruzen gave Jiraiya and Naruto the task of finding the best medic, one of the legendary Sannin, namely his student, Tsunade Senju, the granddaughter of the first Hokage. It was time for Sarutobi Sr. to retire and his student could replace him, because Jiraiya did not agree to take the post of Konoha's leader. Naruto and Jiraiya, having packed their things, set out to find Tsunade Senju. They had to walk for a long time. During the journey, Naruto trained his Rasengan, trying to improve it with wind chakra. During the entire journey to Senju, he managed to create a vortex Rasengan. I would also like to say that Naruto was now dressed in a Chunin vest and pants of this rank, as well as the equipment provided to new Chunin. They went into a bar and their attention was drawn to a loud drunk woman with a diamond on her forehead. A dark-haired girl was sitting next to her, trying to calm the woman down. "Long time no see, Tsunade." The gray-haired man approached them. "Oh, Jiraiya." Senju stood up. "What a meeting." "Wait a minute, who is that next to you? Do you already have children?" "No, he is Minato's son," the old man answered her, which surprised Tsunade. "Yes, indeed, he looks a lot like Minato." "Hello, Jiraiya-sama," the brunette greeted, "and what is your name, boy?" "I'm Namikaze Naruto," the boy answered. "And I'm Shizune, nice to meet you." "Listen, old pervert, you wouldn't say by her appearance that she is the granddaughter of the first Hokage. I can feel large volumes and strength in her chakra." "I don't know whether to be angry or thank you for the compliment," said the blonde. "Oh well, who cares, why did you come?" "It seems Konoha is a bit far from here." "We came to invite you to Konoha," said the pervert. "It's time for our sensei to retire, plus he needs help with the copy ninja and Itachi's younger brother, the surviving Uchiha. They were under the effect of Itachi's Manjikyu Sharingan Genjutsu, I think it's called Tsukuyami." "This is not for me," the drunk woman answered, "look for someone else." "But you are the only professional medic, the best one." He tried to praise her. "Stop flattering, Jiraiya." "Listen, you old witch, Naruto could not stand it, my sensei and comrade need help, so I am ready for anything." "What, old witch?" Senju's eye twitched. She instantly kicked Uzumaki, directing chakra, and he flew back, breaking a stone wall. Stop, Tsunade." The Sannin tried to calm her down, but the blonde hit him too. Shizune was afraid to say anything against her teacher, otherwise she would also be. The dust cleared and instead of the main character there was a log, and the original threw shurikens and kunai at his rival. She easily repelled them, catching one of the kunai. "Fire element, large fireball." The blonde folded the seals and blew a large fireball at the Sannin. She easily dodged, wind element, cutting wind, and blew out a wind element technique. It hit Senju, making many strong cuts on her, but she replaced herself with a log, and she was above Uzumaki, hitting almost him, but he managed to dodge and the ground under his feet collapsed over a huge distance. Lightning element, Raikiri. He created an A-rank technique in his hand. "Oh, so you know this technique too?" Tsunade was surprised. She caught Naruto's hand and gave him a strong flick, which made him fly away. "You lost, Granny." The main character smiled. "And why would that be?" The woman chuckled. "Because." He stood behind her, holding a kunai to her throat. "So you even know this technique, God of Thunder?" Granny Tsunade was surprised, "But I'm not sure that you can also do your father's technique, the Rasengan." "No, I even improved it," Naruto said. He created a clone and, having created, without a clone, a Rasengan and adding wind chakra, hit the double and it flew far, far away. There was destruction of the road for a huge distance. "What?" The old woman was amazed. "Well, so what, now you, Granny Tsunade, will you come with us?" "Okay, you convinced me." Tsuna gave in. That's how Jiraiya and Naruto brought Tsunade to their village. Before Hiruzen gave her the Hokage post, Senju was able to heal Kakashi and Sasuke. After Uchiha woke up, he challenged Naruto on the roof of the hospital. Uzumaki agreed. When the fight began, Naruto was already standing behind Sasuke, holding a kunai. Namikaze put a seal on his team from the very beginning. "That's not fair." Sasuke frowned. "It's all fair, if you knew the right seals, you could free yourself from my mark," Naruto answered and left. Sakura saw how the dark-haired man's gaze had long since changed, it became colder. At night, when many were already asleep and no one was on the street, the sound four, i.e. Orochimaru's wards, came to Sasuke. They beat him and showed him the great power of the cursed seal, which convinced the Uchiha to go with them for power. Before leaving Konoha, Haruno tried to stop him, but Itachi's younger brother knocked her out, apologizing for everything, and left. In the morning, everyone learned about Sasuke's disappearance when Sakura woke up and reported the situation. Naruto folded the seal, trying to teleport to Sasuke, but he failed. Apparently, someone sealed my mark, Uzumaki realized. A squad of Naruto and his friends gathered to return the Uchiha. With the fourth sound and already with Kimimaro was canon, only Naruto dominated Kimimaro, and then Lee came. Now Naruto was standing in front of Sasuke. The main character was on the statue of the first Hokage, and his friend was on the statue of Madara Uchiha. This place was called the Valley of the End, where Hashirama and Madara fought in their last battle. Naruto tried to reason with Sasuke, but he did not listen to the blonde. They went to taijutsu. It turned out that Orochimaru, after the mark of the God of Thunder, managed to develop a seal against this technique, so Naruto could no longer put a seal, and not only this one, and other seals. The guys jumped into the water and began the fight in taijutsu. Thanks to the cursed seal, Sasuke's physical strength increased, so he was almost on par with Uzumaki. Their fight became equal thanks to, of course, the Uchiha clan's Sharingan. They fought in taijutsu for 10 minutes. Then, jumping back at the same time, they continued with Shuriken Jutsu for about 5 minutes. Finally, Naruto, having folded the seals, said, "Lightning element, lightning bullet," and shot at the enemy. Uchiha folded the seals, but did not have time to blow out the fireball, so he flew away from the lightning, after which, in the jump and after landing, he began to shoot fireballs. The blonde dodged the technique. Fire element, phoenix petals. The brunette folded hand seals and blew out the technique. Uzumaki jumped back and Sasuke immediately jumped on him, beating him with a series of powerful blows, throwing him under the water. It was a clone of lightning that exploded in the water. Sasuke received a discharge of lightning combined with water and flew away, but managed to regroup. Not bad, but... Fire element, fire dragon. They were already fighting on a cliff and the dark-haired one tied the blonde with a fishing line to the nearest stone, and then burned him. Naruto replaced himself with a log, and he himself kicked the Uchiha back and they fought on dry land, near a large number of trees, i.e. near the forest. They exchanged a couple of blows, after which Sasuke, kicking his teammate in the block and throwing him back, used a fireball. Naruto came out of the trees and threw a shuriken, using shadow cloning of shurikens. Sasuke defended himself with a fireball. Suddenly, the Uchiha appeared in some room. It began to narrow. Sasuke screamed in pain, then used the cursed mark to free himself from the genjutsu. "So you developed a genjutsu so strong that you can control space and time." Sasuke was surprised by such power, which resembled Itachi's illusion. Wind release, vacuum bullets. He began to shoot wind bullets at his opponent. He dodged, receiving several blows. They fought in the air and landed on the surface of the water, continuing the battle on the water again. Fire release, fire arrow. Sasuke used the technique against his opponent. Naruto flew back, but grouped himself and landed on his feet. Crossing his fingers, he created 20 of his shadow doubles, who fought a member of the dying clan in taijutsu. Lightning release, lightning threads. After Itachi's younger brother dispelled the clones, Naruto bound him with lightning threads, then folded a seal and blew them up. Sasuke flew far away, but got back to his feet on the surface of the water in time. Lightning release, Chidori. Sasuke folded the seals and created Kakashi's technique in his hand. Large Rasengan. He created an improved technique of the fourth Hokage Uzumaki in his hand. He knew that the cursed mark would make Sasuke much stronger, so he created a more powerful Rasengan. They ran at each other and hit each other with A-rank techniques. A huge explosion. Both flew back. Naruto got up after 1 minute, and Sasuke after 2 minutes. They were breathing heavily. Lightning release, discharge. The blonde hit the water with his hands and lightning struck Uchiha, who flew away. Fire element, double fireball, wind element, razor blade, lightning element, explosion. Sasuke was thrown far, far away. Despite this, the red-eyed man was still able to get up, activating the 3-volume Sharingan. Naruto ran at him in taijutsu, creating 5 shadow copies. The dark-haired man felt strong changes. Now he could see the enemy's movements even better, so he easily parried and counterattacked. He began to dominate his comrade from the previous team. The blue-eyed man realized this and, jumping back, used a fire needle. Sasuke dodged and shot a ball of fire that hit the main character, but it was a fire clone, which exploded after dispersal, shooting a flame that touched the brunette. "I didn't want to use this, but you are a strong opponent, so I'll have to," shouted the Uchiha and covered himself completely with a cursed seal, becoming more like a monster, the second stage of the cursed seal. Naruto took out a scroll from behind his back, folded the seals, and summoned a clone, who was sitting in the lotus position and meditating. Having dispelled it, Uzumaki's eyes became like a toad's, and orange eyeliner appeared around his eyes. "So you also own natural chakra?" Sasuke saw the changes. "Yes, but only through difficult training. Besides, your cursed seal is not a full hermit mode, so I will be stronger." "We'll see about that, Naruto." Sasuke. Uchiha created a cursed Chidori in his left hand, and Namake's a whirlwind Rasengan in his right, and yes, don't get confused, this is not a Rasen Shuriken or even a mini Rasen Shuriken, it is weaker, but still a powerful technique. Shouting their names, they jumped on each other, standing on a rock, and hit with incredibly powerful A++ rank techniques, almost S rank, but still far away. The explosion that appeared due to the huge energy emissions destroyed everything in a huge radius of destruction, more than 8 kilometers. When the smoke and dust finally dissipated, standing high in the air for more than 5 minutes, this picture appeared: Naruto, breathing heavily, kneeling, looking at the unconscious Sasuke. Oh, by the way, the Toad Hermit mode of the Hermit gives affiliation with the elements of earth, water, and fire. That is, now Naruto owns both earth and water, that is, all 5 elements, but so far he has not trained in their control. Later he will learn from Hiruzen and Kakashi. Soon Kakashi arrived. He saw the huge scale of destruction and debris. And then noticed Naruto and Sasuke. "You are great, Naruto," said Hatake, catching the body of the unconscious blue-eyed. Kakashi created a shadow clone, which took Sasuke in his arms. Ashhaired took them to the hospital, where they were already treating other guys who went with Naruto after Sasuke. They defeated the Sound 5. Gaara's team arrived and helped the kids, because Sand had made an alliance with the Leaf. Sasuke and Naruto were lying in neighboring beds in the same ward. First Uzumaki woke up, and then 5 minutes later Uchiha. "What? Where am I? What happened?" The sleepy brunette did not understand. "You are in Konoha, Sasuke," the blonde answered him. "You tried to go to Orochimaru. We fought, where I defeated you. Although, no, I also passed out later, so it was a draw. You became stronger." "I see. Still, you stopped me. And don't try to calm me down. I felt great strength, but I still lost to you. My seal also did not allow you to put a mark on me, and when we fought on the water, you had nowhere to throw kunai to teleport." After a 5-minute conversation, Kakashi came into their room. Sasuke, I understand that your hatred for Itachi is enormous, but this does not mean that you should break ties with your comrades for the sake of revenge. I knew many shinobi who went down the path of hatred and revenge, and I would not say that their end was good." Then Naruto and Sasuke's comrades, who had recovered long ago, entered, as well as the Hokage. The 5th decided to keep Sasuke in the dungeon for a couple of weeks after his full recovery to correct him. Of course, not everyone agreed with this, but nothing can be done. Who will say against the leader of the village? Only Uzumaki explained his dissatisfaction out loud, but still, Uchiha will still be taken into custody, especially since, as Tsunade answered, nothing will happen to Sasuke in 14 days. The dark-haired man did not answer and simply remained silent. After the fight with Naruto, he realized his mistake and apologized to his friends, saying that he would not carry a heavy load alone. Leaving the hospital, the main character was followed by Temari, Gaara's sister. They went into a dark alley, after which the blonde pressed Naruto, who did not understand anything, against the wall and kissed him passionately, putting his hand on her thigh. The blue-eyed man kissed her back. He teleported both of them to his home on the bed and began to undress the girl, and she him. I will not describe in detail, because this is not 18+, I will just say that they lost their virginity. They began to do this every day. After some time, when Sasuke was released from prison, Kakashi decided to take him with him to training, going on a journey. Jiraiya did the same with Hiruzen, taking Naruto for training. This is how the story of the adventures of Naruto and his friends ends at 13. The main character and his friend Uchiha will come matured and strong. At the gate of a large and powerful village called Konoha, an ash-haired man came together with his dark-haired disciple, and opposite them came the gray-haired Sannin and his teacher, the former Hokage, and along with them the fair-haired guy. Uchiha and Namikaze have grown up well. Naruto is 16, and Sasuke is 17. Izumu and Kotetsu, the guardians of the village, recognized the people who had arrived, and, smiling and saying hello, let them into the village. Their comrades learned of their return later and found them right away, rejoicing at the return of the already adult Chunin. Their comrades have already passed the Chunin exams, and Neji and Rock Lee have actually become Jonin. After they greeted each other, Naruto and his sensei, as well as Sasuke and his teacher, headed to the Hokage residence to report their return to the village. Glad to see you already grown up, smiled the Hokage. Now, when you put your things down and change, you will go to training to learn your abilities. You will fight against Jiraiya and Kakashi. Understood? Yes, said Team 7. Sasuke and Naruto quickly got ready and came to training ground 72. When Sensei gave the start, they began the fight together with Sakura. Haruno started first, showing that the fifth taught her not only medical techniques, but also a strong punch, directing chakra to her hand. The pink-haired girl destroyed a lot of ground under her feet and trees, after which she began to show signs of fatigue. Then the rest of the Team 7 joined the fight. Naruto took on Kakashi, and Sasuke Jiraiya. Center, Naruto's fight with Kakashi. Center. Naruto understood that the ash-haired man had higher taijutsu than Rock Lee, a sharper sense of smell than Kiba, a better Sharingan than 13-year-old Sasuke with a cursed seal, and a mind much higher than Shikamaru. He was careful with the teacher, but still Uzumaki himself also had an IQ higher than Shikamaru, several times more chakra than Kakashi, especially plus Bija mode and Hermit mode, etc. The element of fire, a large fireball. Namikaze made hand seals. Ash-haired man dodged the ball, jumping to the side, but suddenly he was grabbed by a hand under the ground, earth element, underground trap, and dragged Sensei under the ground. It turned out to be a shadow clone. Water element, water dragon. And, standing on the water and making hand seals, the man created a large dragon out of water. Earth element, earth wall. The blonde man hit the ground with his hands and created, which protected from the dragon. They continued to exchange ninjutsu. Fire element, cutting flame, the main character began. Water element, water wall. Hataki continued. Earth element, shackles. Lightning element, Chidori Nagashi. Water element, water bullets. Earth element, stone bullets. Wind element, great hurricane. Fire element, protective whirlpool. Earth element, mud trap of death. Lightning element, lightning needle. Lightning element, lightning dragon. Wind element, breakthrough. Fire element, huge fireball. Water element, jet. Earth element, the blonde folded hand seals, stone clones, and created such hard doubles more than 20 copies. Lightning element, Raikiri. The elite Jonin answered and destroyed with the clone technique. He ran with the technique at the student, but suddenly the ground under him turned into mud, which dragged the ash-haired one. Earth technique, Kakashi thought. He used lightning, defensive explosion technique, but for some reason it didn't help. The entire training ground was covered in mud. Jiraiya and Sasuke disappeared, disperse. Jonin guessed and folded the seal of dispelling illusion. When he was freed, Hataki received a combination of strong blows from the student and flew away. When the blue-eyed man ran to finish off Hataki, he looked into his eyes, thanks to which the red-eyed man caught him in a genjutsu and, approaching, put a kunai. It was a clone of lightning. Kakashi received an electric discharge from it and flew away. Multiple shuriken cloning technique. Having thrown a shuriken, Uzumaki folded the seals and created many such doubles. Element of Earth, Mud Hand, created Hataki's hand from Gyatso and caught all the shurikens with it, and then the hand moved towards the Chunin. Element Lightning, Charge Beam. Destroyed Namake's arm. Okay, let's get serious now, and he scattered 3-petal kunai across the battlefield and began teleporting. Even the Sharingan couldn't keep track of the son of Yellow Lightning. Naruto beat Sensei like this, putting a chakra suppression seal on him at last. After that, he ran to Sasuke. He fought well and almost defeated the Sannin, but he still showed him where the crayfish live. No, he didn't defeat Sasuke, but he dominated due to strength and experience, and he hasn't entered Sannin mode yet. Still, gray-haired will be stronger than Kakashi until the Fourth World War in the original. Center, fight with Jiraiya. During Naruto and Kakashi's fight, /center, fire element, great fireball. Blew out the basic technique of his Uchiha clan. Water element, water whirlpool, the Sannin defended himself. Shadow clone technique, created 6 shadow doubles. Rasengan. The Sannin destroyed them all, fire element, underground hell. Sasuke jumped back. Lightning element, lightning bullet. Red ice fired. This helped get rid of the fire. Fire element, eruption of the fire volcano, slamming his hands on the ground, the fire rose high up from it at Sasuke, hitting him. Chidori Nagashi, Itachi's younger brother, dispelled the flame, fire element, great fire dragon, and blew out 2 dragons at once. Earth element, mud bombs, fire element, explosion, first mud bullets formed from the earth, which flew at the fire, and then with the help of the fire technique, they exploded, throwing Sasuke back with a shock wave. I didn't even know it was possible to combine techniques like this without enhanced genomes. Uchiha was surprised. Oh well, that's for later. Lightning release, Chidori. Rasengan. 2 techniques clashed with each other, creating a big bang due to the surge of large volumes of chakra. Jiraiya had a more powerful technique, so he only took a few steps back, while Sasuke flew far away and was imprinted deeply into the ground. He managed to replace himself with a log, and threw a kunai with an explosive seal at Sannin. He jumped away from it, seeing phoenix petals flying at him. They hit the Toad Hermit, but it turned out to be only a water clone. Water release, great water dragon. Gray-haired folded his hand seals and released the water dragon at his opponent. He hit the Uchiha and threw him back. He began to be covered in the first stage of the cursed seal, and now it will be more difficult. Fire element, giant fireball, the Sannin dodged, but then red-eyed, lightning element, splitting. And after he clenched his fist, a large stream of lightning burst out of the fireball. Jiraiya flew away, having time to group himself in the fall and land on his feet. Fire element, 7 great fire dragons, blew out many great dragons that followed the Sannin. He used the big Rasengan to dispel them, but Sasuke used a lightning blast and the fire turned into lightning, exploding. Even though you are a genius and have a Sharingan, but still, I learned to combine elemental techniques for more than a year, and you learned it on the fly. Moreover, you did not copy the techniques, because you do not own the Earth release. Thank you for the praise, but let's continue. The Uchiha covered himself with the second stage of the cursed seal, flying high into the air, thanks to his wings, and shooting at the perverted grandpa. Dodging, the gray-haired man summoned his shadow clone, which he meditated. Having dispelled that, Jiraiya entered the hermit mode. Element of Earth, rock, and created a very high rock, which was taller than the flying Sasuke, and now, folded the seals, landslide. And the rock began to crumble into large blocks and stones. Element of lightning, Chidori beam, began to destroy the Uchiha stones, but Jiraiya prevented him. Element of fire, fire bullets. The youngest son of Fugaku did not lose his head. Element of lightning, electricity shield, created a large shield in his second hand, which protected him from fire, and at this time he himself already managed to destroy the stones, the Chidori, and flew towards his rival. Giant Rasengan, the Sannin answered him. The techniques were already equal in power, but Uchiha protected himself with a wing from the shock wave, and the old man flew away. Have you been waiting, Sasuke? Naruto came in time, too. Where have you been for so long? Weakling. Hey, don't cry, little snake, the blonde replied, throwing kunai and using genjutsu. Center, 30 minutes later, /center. Jiraiya, having fallen on his knee, was breathing heavy, as were Naruto and Sasuke, but they were standing and could more or less continue the fight. Naruto and Jiraiya lost their hermit mode, Sasuke's cursed seal returned. I see you've already learned to manage Orochimaru's seal. Yeah, you've learned to restrain Orochimaru, because earlier, while using the cursed seal, I heard his voice. Team 7 wins, Tsunade said. Oh, I forgot to notice that in the end, in the fight with Jiraiya, the recovered Sakura joined in. Well done, you've become much stronger, Hiruzen smiles. Soon you will retire, Granny, giving me the Hokage hat. Uzumaki smiled. Then the blonde kicked him hard. He flew far away, and the third Hokage's student went to beat him, saying, Who did you call Granny and about retirement? It's impolite to say such things, idiot. And I will never give you the Hokage post. After the hard training to test the strength of Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, where they took the bells from the senseis, everyone decided to celebrate the meeting and relax in Ichiraka Ramen, Naruto's favorite place, DK, and many, because the most delicious noodles in the world are prepared here, because Tucci is the sage of 6 ramen. Face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy. The next day, they learned the news from Tsunade about how the new Kazekage, namely Sobakunogara, was kidnapped by the Akatsuki members. This organization began to act. Naruto wanted to teleport to his red-haired friend, but the seal was missing, so someone cancelled it. But also, when they were 13 years old, Naruto gave Gaara a kunai so he would leave it in the sand village just in case. Bless this, Naruto teleported himself and his team to Gaara's village. He needed to rest, because carrying so many people over such a huge distance would be very difficult, not everyone could do it. The Ninetales Jinchuriki and his team met the Sand Ninja. Realizing that it was a leaf ninja, they let the guys through. They came to the hospital, there were many people there. Kankuro, trying to get his brother back, got infected with a deadly poison that would kill him in a few days. Granny Chie attacked Kakashi, but Uzumaki caught her in a genjutsu. She confused him with the white fang of Konoha. Kakashi's father killed Sasori's parents, and this is one of the main reasons why Sasori of the Bloody Sand became a renegade and joined the Akatsuki organization. Sakura was able to heal Kankuro, which amazed everyone, but after, without wasting time, they learned information from Kankuro, where the Akatsuki members were heading, and Team 7, along with Granny Chie, immediately headed there. Naruto, along with his team and Granny Chie, were able to catch up with the Akatsuki in a relatively short time. Sasuke, along with Sakura and Granny Chie, stayed to fight Sasori in the Akatsuki lair, while Namikaze and Kakashi rushed after Deidara. Fire release, large fireball, Uzumaki folded his hand seals and blew a large fireball at his enemy, who had Gaara's body. C1, explosion. The blonde created clay and defended himself from the fireball. Kamui, after 5 minutes of pursuit, Hatake showed his Manjikyu Sharingan, cutting off his opponent's second hand, while his first hand was destroyed by the red-haired Kazekage. Uzumaki caught up with the blonde and hit him, taking the body of Shikaku's Jinchuriki. Instead of the real Deidara, a clay clone received a blow. Namikaze saw the lifeless body of his friend. I will kill you very cruelly. The blue-eyed man frowned and appeared behind Deidara in a second, hitting him in the face. Shadow clone technique, for doubles took the Akatsuki member by the arms and legs, pressing him into the ground, and the original finished him off by jumping on him with an extended knee and hitting him with a fist, after which he created a Rasengan and hit the clay clone. Uzumaki's shadow clone took Gaara's body, and the original, along with Hatake, went to look for the real one. A scene occurs where Team Guy arrived, and then Sasuke, along with Sakura and Chie, arrived in time, killing the puppet master of the bloody sand. Everyone surrounded Deidara. He, as everyone thought, committed suicide by blowing himself up. No one would have been able to dodge the explosion. Naruto wanted to transfer everyone with the help of the Thunder God, but he did not have enough chakra. Then Kakashi absorbed the explosion using Kamui. This helped Tsukuri escape. Granny Chie saw how much Namikaze cherished his dead friend, so she used a secret technique, reviving the red-haired one, but in exchange, she gave her life in exchange for his. Chie was proclaimed the heroine of the sand, who saved the leader of the village. She was buried with a huge crowd of people who honored the memory of the deceased. When Team Kakashi and Team Guy rested, accumulating strength and chakra, they teleported thanks to Naruto back to Konoha, saying goodbye to everyone. Reporting to the Hokage about the completion of the mission, Sakura and Sasuke also reported that Sasori was supposed to have a meeting with his spy who was monitoring the snake Sannin, namely Kabuto. The meeting will be in a few days, there is not much left. During this time, they met the new temporary members of the 7th team, Sayumbu of Root, and Yamato, Danzo's former umbu. Finally, they set out. The meeting was to take place on the bridge. Kabuto did not betray Orochimaru, he deceived Sasori. Yamato, disguised as a puppeteer, received a couple of blows. Everyone split up. Sakura and Sasuke fought against the bespectacled man, Sai watched, and Naruto and Yamato went against the snake Sannin. Fight with Kabuto. Sasuke went on the attack. Fire element, Great Fireball, Double Great Fire Dragon, Phoenix Petals, Fire Beam, Fire Whirlpool, Lightning Element, Lightning Bullets, Lightning Dragon, Lightning Ball, Explosion, Energy Surge. There were many techniques, but Kabuto, firstly, dodged some of them, and secondly, the medic's abilities helped him heal quickly, plus ninja pills that restore chakra and injuries. He dodged Haruno because he did not risk getting a powerful blow from her. Yakushi also dodged Uchiha's Chidori, also understanding the power of the lightning element technique. He continued the fight against the brunette and the blossoming cherry in Taijutsu, and then Shuriken Jutsu. Then Kakashi's main student activated the second stage of the cursed seal and began to humiliate the enemy, and also won with numbers. The bespectacled man knocked out the ruby-eyed one after 15 minutes of the fight. She herself was ready to fall due to chakra depletion. The bespectacled man acted cunningly, trying to force his younger brother Itachi to deplete his chakra reserves, trying to save his own. Lightning Element, Chidori, Chidori Nagashi, Chidori Beam, Chidori Dog, Lightning Clone, Fire Element, Tearing Flame, Deadly Burning, Ash Trap, Hell's Inferno, used the Uchiha techniques. After that, he decided to use his strongest technique, first blowing great dragons into the sky, he created thunderclouds, and then first created Chidori in his hand. After these actions, lightning from the sky merged with Chidori, creating a huge technique, apparently, S rank. What is this? The bespectacled man was surprised, after which he received a powerful technique. Even despite this, Yakushi turned out to be too strong. He managed to use his strongest healing technique so as not to die. Uchiha did not kill anyone, so he decided to leave the enemy. Sakura protected Uchiha from the explosion of such a powerful technique, hiding it behind his back, and Sai created a large bird, which managed to fly away. Fight with Orochimaru. Water Release, Water Dragon. Having folded the seals, Naruto created and sent a large dragon made of water to the snake hermit. Earth Release, Earth Wall. The snake defended himself, after which he responded, Fire Release, Burning Flame, and blew a stream at Naruto, which, having reached him, exploded. Chunin managed to replace himself with a clone, and he himself, having taken out his blade, during the journey with Jiraiya and Hiruzen. Naruto learned Kenjutsu, moved towards Orochimaru. They clashed in Kenjutsu, when the snake took his katana out of his mouth. Their speed was enormous during the fight. At some points in the fight, the blue-eyed one channeled lightning, wind, and earth chakra into his sword, to which the snake responded in kind. Fire element, jumping back, the protagonist quickly folded hand seals, fire incineration. Water element, water column, the Sannin answered. Wood element, binding tree shackles, Yamato trapped the enemy, but the Sannin, using the snake's lightning, was able to free himself. Earth element, burying dirt, the fair-haired one slammed his hands on the ground, not giving his opponent a chance to move anymore. The dirt began to be dragged underground, but the cunning snake replaced himself with a snake clone, shadow cloning technique. Created 4 shadow clones, a barricade of elemental balls of truth. Mr. named his technique. All of them, having folded their seals, blew out great balls of all 5 elements, which were directed at the Sannin. Namikaze decided to combine the elements. Earth element, a large wall of earth, Oric decided to test the power of his opponent's technique. The balls broke through the wall and hit the enemy. The Sannin's body flew off, after which he shed his skin. Wind element, smoke, Mr. blew out dark smoke over a large area, impairing his field of vision, and now, fire element, covering flame, he passed the technique along the wind, intensifying the fire. When the flames dissipated, the snake fell under the technique. Earth element, earth dome, trapped the son of the 4th. Mokutan, wood prison, used the technique of the former Anbu of Root. Naruto got out of the dome, breaking through it with Chidori. Fire element, bonfire, blew out a large amount of fire and burned the Sannin in the wood prison. He again replaced himself with a mud clone, and he himself appeared behind the protagonist, piercing him with a sword. It was a clone of lightning, which, having released lightning, paralyzed the Sannin, technique of the 5 elements, Great Whirlpool. Used the original along with Naruto's shadow clones of the techniques of all 5 elements, which, having transformed into whirlpools, surrounded and caught Oric. The technique dissipated when the 3rd Hokage's student summoned a large snake manda, or whatever it was called. Well, like manda. It fired air bullets that were larger than fairly large buildings. Namikaze easily dodged, scattering kunai across the battlefield. He summoned Gamabunta, and sat down to meditate to accumulate Senjutsu chakra. He succeeded in doing so after 5 minutes. During this time, the summoned animals managed to beat each other and dissipated, returning back to their worlds. Mass copy shuriken technique. Orochimaru threw a shuriken, creating more than 300 copies of it. Uzumaki dodged thanks to the god of thunder. He threw a kunai with 3 petals at the enemy, who dodged and quickly jumped away from it, fearing teleportation, as he himself did not notice that he jumped to another, who had stuck the kunai earlier. The blonde outwitted him. Having created a raisin shuriken, he teleported the teknu to the kunai, near which the snake Sannin was flying. The student of the 3rd Hokage received a very powerful technique on the back, after all, S rank. A huge explosion. It hit at a large radius of destruction. Even after this, you are not only alive, but still conscious, the blonde was surprised. The Sannin shed his skin, but he himself was breathing heavily. My chakra is running out, we need to finish quickly, it is better to leave here. Naruto-kun and Sasuke-kun have become much stronger. It is a pity that the latter did not go to me. Instead of legs, the cruel Sannin got a large snake tail, which allowed him to move much faster. He used the summoning, took Kabuto into the snake with him and entered it himself, after which the snake disappeared. We missed it again. The frowning red-eyed man clenched his hand into a fist. It's okay, Sasuke, now it's clear that we are stronger than them, so we still have time, the fair-haired one encouraged his teammate. Sai was scolded for not helping the team in any way. This heartless guy began to improve thanks to Naruto therapy and genjutsu of the main character and the Uchiha. He began to feel emotions. He was shown the everyday life of ordinary people. After meeting Orochimaru and Kabuto, Sai changed. I'll go to the land of rain, Jiraiya said to Tsunade in the Hokage's residence. No. Granny didn't agree for a long time, but the old man turned out to be too convincing and the 5th let him go. Naruto heard this and, quickly entering without knocking, decided to go with his sensei. He also turned out to be convincing, even though he was a Jinchuriki. Granny sent him along with Uzumaki. True, the elders of Konoha did not like this, but everyone somehow did not care about them. In the village hidden in the rain, a toad walked on water. Having reached the required distance, the Sannin and Namikaze climbed out of it. During their stay in this village, it turned out that Hanzo Salamander, who should have been the leader of the village, had long been overthrown by a cruel man about whom much is unknown. They were spying and suddenly came across a blue-haired girl with brown hair in a large and dark room, who was hovering thanks to wings and from paper, and 6 people with red hair and purple eyes. "Is it you, Conan, Yahiko?" The Sannin was surprised, "but they told me that you died." "And where is Nagato? And why do you have the Rinnegan, Yahiko?" And then he noticed the other bodies of pain, "And why do they all have the Rinnegan, is that possible?" "Hello, Jiraiya-sensei," answered Yahiko, "it's been a long time since we saw each other." "We are pain, we are God." "If thanks to the Rinnegan you thought that God, then you are mistaken," the main character intervened. "Yes, these eyes are God, but I'm not sure that they are yours, otherwise the whole world would be in your hands." "Jiraiya-sensei, I see you have a new student," said Conan. During a short conversation, a fierce battle ensued. Naruto and Jiraiya fought well, analyzing the abilities of these people with the Rinnegan and the blue-haired girl. Uzumaki guessed that since each of the bodies had one of the Rinnegan's abilities and radio receivers were inserted into them, they were controlled by some person. Apparently, it was Nagato. That's the end of the story.